And people say it in like a group setting. Like we'll be out for dinner and somebody will say, oh, my spouse sucks at this, they suck at that. And you're like, and they're saying it as a joke. The impact can be really rough. And I think over time, like these little chips at somebody, it turns into a big dent or a big cut. And then, you know, like we were talking about last time, if you don't release that and talk about it and address it as a couple, somebody can explode. And then like you have those situations where somebody wakes up and they're like, I don't want to be with you anymore. And you're like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
It's that constant chipping away.
We get asked all the time, how can a couple work together? So thank you, Valentina, for coming on for the third time and helping us explore this question, work on it, and give our perspective.
It's a fun question to explore because, you know, it's not perfect. Everybody has their challenges and hurdles to overcome, but it's definitely possible.
For sure. I think, like I said on the first two, my goal in life was to find a power couple. And if that is the goal, I feel there's so much work to be done. And there's an elephant in the room. It's like, how do you not kill each other? How do you overcome criticism? How do you overcome challenges? And I think there's a lot of people who expect that it works until it doesn't. And the only way to turn that around is by working at the relationship, learning from it. And this to us is sort of like a board meeting about our relationship and how we've been able to overcome this. So for everybody that's watching, thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for supporting us. And this is an open invitation for you as well. If you are a couple, if you work with your spouse, we'd like to hear from you. We'd like to have you on. If you're in Miami, come on to the podcast and let's learn from each other, because it is, maybe you're playing with fire, maybe you're doing something that's incredibly fragile. And if we can learn from each other, maybe we can avoid some landmines.
For sure. So many things to learn from other couples who work together. And like you said, it's a lot of work, you know, and I feel like it just gets better. The more we work at it, the more we learn, the more we improve. So yeah, like Ahmed said, we're here to share our experience with you.
So something I really believe in, and I think is incredibly powerful, is to learn from the dead or talk to the dead. And I know that sounds a little bit funny, or sometimes they're alive, but it's talking to learning through reading. I feel that is one of the most important aspects in everybody's life. And I heard this incredible statistic that people spend 20 hours watching TV a week. They spend only 5 hours on average on their phone, yet nobody
5 hours a week on the phone?
Sorry, 5 hours a day on the phone. And nobody reads that much. Nobody. Like,
I feel like people are doing like I get ads for them on my Instagram a lot where it's like the digestible books, or like read 20 books in like a week, you know, and they give you like those summaries. And they're very compelling because, as you know, like time is so finite, and the older we get, the more we feel like time is just rushing by. But whenever I've tried those out, you don't get like the juice out of the book. You don't really feel it. You don't feel like you can apply it. It feels like you're reading like, what did we used to use in school? Like Spark Notes, which were great. But it's, I don't know, like especially for personal development, growth, relationships, I don't feel like you get the full impact.
Exactly.
So I don't recommend those.
And going in that line, I found this incredible institute called the Gottman Institute. And it's founded by a couple, actually. And there's a theory by Dr. John Gottman, which really was eye-opening. He can predict, through his research over 50 years, he can predict with 90% accuracy who might get divorced.
90%.
90% accuracy. And he calls it the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. These four things that if you do them, they will end up in divorce.
And do them like as a couple, or is it like personal, like individual traits? What is it?
So let's explore them together. And I think that it would be interesting to also do it in a business sense, because I find that these traits are not only pertinent for a divorce or getting to a divorce, but also if your co-founders have them, if your employees have them. So I think they're not called Four Horsemen of the apocalypses of marriage. It's just a general thing, and I think having that knowledge is really important. So I'm really interested to know and explore these with you.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And like how many, founders or partners have issues as well. It's not only if you're married or you're a couple and you work together. It can happen in any type of relationship.
Absolutely. So the fourth horseman is incredibly important, but let's start with number one.
Does the order matter, or are they
Yes.
just okay?
Yes. So according to the theory, there are four, and the first one is criticism. I feel, and just to give you more color into the first horseman of criticism, there is a lot of, we've normalized bickering, we've normalized criticizing each other. Naggingness.
As men like to call it.
Nagging, yes. So what do you think about criticism? How have we dealt with it? How do you feel? We've seen other people. What stories can you share?
Criticism is an interesting one. I always think that people tend to criticize and nag or be more difficult with the people that they're closest to, which I think ends up being your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife. And then they wouldn't even imagine or dream of criticizing or critiquing their friends or their coworkers, maybe behind their back, but not directly. But I don't know why it's become the norm to criticize your partner and to say like, well, you do this and you do that, and why do you do it this way and why do you do it that way? I think we need to celebrate the person's differences, and like we've spoken about on previous podcasts, shine the mirror, maybe show your partner or your business partner or your romantic partner what they're doing in a constructive way. It's not, negative criticism is bad. Constructive criticism is excellent. And it connects back to like our previous talk about growth. That's what helps you grow as a person. And I think coming to a mutual understanding that you're not criticizing each other to hurt one another, but you're criticizing each other in a constructive way to help the other person and help your relationship, help your business, etc. So I think we can flip that one on its head and turn it into constructive criticism, which is a very positive thing. But criticizing your partner just to nag on them or to pull them down, I don't see why anybody would want to do that. I mean, you're supposed to be building with this person. You should have common goals and alignment with this person. Why do you want to pull them down and stunt their growth?
Mm-hmm. I think criticism, even constructive criticism, is a balancing act.
It can be a little too constructive.
It can be a little
much.
too constructive. It
Yeah.
can be a little harsh on the person. And I think that even if it's constructive, it can not everybody takes feedback the right way or the way that you think it's going to be. So,
and even if you have positive intent, how do you know how the person's receiving it?
Exactly. So I think that with us, I believe, for those who know me, I'm a very stoic. I believe in Stoicism, and I believe in practicing Stoicism. And one of the beliefs of Stoicism is be very hard on the problem, be very soft on the person. And I think that when you are especially working with your partner, if I say, Valentina, you are all over the place, you'd like to do 10 things at the same time, and you're rushing, and that is causing problems
True story, by the way. That happens a lot.
is different. And I can give you a constructive criticism, say, Valentino, why don't you do one thing at a time and organize yourself? And you might say, this is a great idea. Wonderful constructive criticism. But if I say it differently, as in, I know we have a lot to do. I know there are many balls in the air. How can we work together, or what can we do so that we make sure that we do one thing at a time, and let's like check it off our list, but let's do it one at a time.
Yeah.
Because that way we're going to have less mistakes, perhaps, or somehow frame it that way. I feel would be a softer, more approachable way of, and also a shared solution, because I'm saying, we have this tennis coach and he doesn't say, you didn't move your feet or you didn't do it. He says, what do you think you did wrong? And I think that is a way of showing you the mirror without telling you what's reflected on the mirror.
I like that. And I think positioning the solution as like a joint effort or something that the other person can support you on, it relieves a lot of pressure. It makes you feel like you're not a failure or you're the F up, or, you're the one who's doing everything wrong and creating a mess. So I really like that approach. I think it's good. And I think it's something we practice. And I know I keep mentioning this every time we chat, but we have this daily huddle, and it's so important because that allows us to align and support each other on areas where we need help, where we feel overwhelmed. And how can you preemptively address that problem before you get to the point of needing to criticize, so to speak?
Exactly.
Baby steps, as our Italian instructor says, pian pianino.
Let's go to the Horseman number 2.
Okay.
Which is contempt. And I know this word might be very clear for some people, but
it's not super clear.
It's not super clear to everyone. I had to look it up because I've only heard it like in the courtroom setting when it's like, I'm going to hold you in contempt.
So what does it mean like in a relationship?
So this is what I feel. It's like when you are disrespectful to your spouse, when you're saying things like, you're an idiot, you drive like a maniac.
You have road rage.
You have road rage. You're not good with numbers. You're
kind of chipping away at them with these like...
You're lazy.
Yeah.
Instead of you didn't do the dishes, you're saying you're lazy. So contempt is that it's a little bit more extreme than criticism. It's actually attacking that person and making them kind of villainizing and almost having like the wrong attitude towards them. And I think that like what you were saying before, to your friends, to your coworkers, you would never.
No way.
You would never. But to your spouse, that we have heard.
And people say it in like a group setting. Like we'll be out for dinner and somebody will say, oh, my spouse sucks at this, they suck at that. And you're like, and they're saying it as a joke. Or
even a passive aggressive, I think, could be contempt. As it'd be nice if you would cook once in a while, or if there would be food in the house. Like, it's a backhanded way of hitting your spouse and making them feel.
And even if it's in kind of a jokey way and you're amongst friends and you're kind of, exchanging notes on like funny things in the house, the impact can be really rough. And I think over time, like these little chips at somebody, it turns into a big dent or a big cut. And then, like we were talking about last time, if you don't release that and talk about it and address it as a couple, somebody can explode. And then like you have those situations where somebody wakes up and they're like, I don't want to be with you anymore. And you're like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
It's that constant chipping away.
I want to share something that I grew up seeing. And I grew up in Ecuador, a very traditional society, 1990s, 2000s, where there was mainly the man or the father working,
The provider.
the provider, and the women were mainly taking care of the house and raising the kids. And there was a society saying that women don't know business. Men know business because they work they work.
Yeah.
Women do not. So I grew up so what I'm trying to say is not only in your household, not only in your partnership, but also in your society. There might be a saying that is there's a lot of contempt in saying women don't know business. So I grew up thinking my mom knew nothing about business. And it was only until later in life when my eyes opened that my mom is actually extremely smart with money. She's the one that taught me more about investing than most than the most person in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's an interesting perspective that only when I saw this contempt that this sparked in my mind, I was like, it's not only your spouse or that direct person that can cause contempt, it's the people around you.
For sure.
And I think you need to be wary, or you need to be conscious that this might be happening.
And it's something that we spoke about in a meeting yesterday. And we have a broad range of age groups in the team. And it made me think of like, we were doing like a team building exercise, and we were talking about things in the workplace that we don't like. And one of them was this kind of bureaucratic hierarchy that you have in a lot of companies. And somebody senior won't even give somebody junior the time of day because there is that contempt. Oh, they just started working 6 months ago, a year ago. They don't know, shit from granola. They don't know anything. I don't even want to talk to them. I don't want to hear what they have to say in a meeting. So it really does apply to like any type of relationship.
Yeah, beautiful example. Should we go to number 3?
Let's do it.
Number 3 is defensiveness.
Oof.
Yeah. Defensiveness is feeling superior to your partner, and it's often like a way of deflection and not taking responsibility for what you're doing. So what are your thoughts?
The first thing that comes to mind with this one is your ego is your enemy. And there's the book by, I always forget names.
Ryan Holiday. Excellent book. If you haven't read it, highly recommend. Your ego is your enemy. If you lead with ego, you're constantly going to defend yourself because you're always right and you know best and you can't do any wrong and you don't want to admit to your faults or your failures. So this is a really big one, because how can you have a conversation with somebody? How can you really hear them out, whether it's romantic relationship, business relationship, if you're defending yourself constantly and not being like, yeah, great point, I get it. And we've, had arguments, tense discussions, whatever you want to call them, where maybe I made a passive aggressive comment and I can't think of exactly what it was. And you would tell me that because I'm not aware, I try to practice self-awareness, but you're not always aware of what you say, how you act, things slip out when you don't mean them to. And you told me that was a really passive aggressive comment. And it's really hard to not immediately go into defense mode and be like, no, it wasn't, because you did this and you did that and this happened. And then the snowball comes and you start thinking of every problem and an issue in your life or your relationship. So I think it's a muscle that needs to strengthen and be practiced. You go to the gym, you work out, you get better, you feel more fluid, you feel more confident. I think accepting what's in front of you and kind of doing this introspective exercise and trying to really understand what you said or what you did and not defend it is very healthy. But that one for me is very difficult, because I think in general people try to defend themselves. What do you think? I agree. And I think ego is definitely a big part of that. I think the other coin of that is being courageous. And courage is taking responsibility. And if we continue the example that you have 10 things, you're multitasking, and because you're multitasking, you're rushing, and because you're rushed, you make mistakes. The defensive comeback could be, oh, but I have so many things to do.
How do you
expect me to do them? And there's only 24 hours in a day. And it's like, or you are the one that's giving me all this work. Like, how do like, instead of being more courageous and saying, yeah, you're 100% right. I am rushing, but I need your help. I think is a way to reduce that defensiveness and being more like guarded down. I think defensiveness to me is like guard up. That to me, like I think of boxing when I think of defensiveness, it's like someone's gonna throw a punch. The thing that you do is this, and I think what you should do is look at one side and being able to look at that and saying, okay, how do I counterattack with something constructive? And all of these are really great because it shows you this is real life. If you want to have a successful relationship, you need to recognize that when you do this, be able to change it.
And really in any respect, and I keep connecting back to the workplace because I think it's so relevant for so many people. If you work on something as a team and then you present it to your principal, your CEO, what have you, and then they criticize it or they have feedback or constructive criticism, oftentimes people go into defense mode and they're like, maybe not in a meeting or in a public setting, they're like, well, I didn't do that. That was so-and-so. They did that. So they were wrong. And it's a sign of poor leadership and poor teamwork if you don't accept it and be like, yeah, I messed up. I did this. I take the feedback and I'm going to fix it. And I'm not going to make that mistake again, like not even once moving forward. So in the workplace, people get very, very defensive about their, what they're producing, what they're putting out there.
Yeah. And there's something that I learned from your family, or it came from your side, which is lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way.
From Mama Leslie. That's a good one.
And I think this one really, when you said leadership, it reminded me of this point. If you are leading, then take responsibility. Put the responsibility on your shoulders. If something went right, it's the team's, and if something went wrong, it's your shoulder.
Yeah. Regardless, you own it.
You own it. And if you're following, actually follow.
Yeah.
Don't go with the get the hell out of the way means don't be a follower that is telling the leader, oh, it should have in this way. It'd be like, okay, what do you need me to do to make this happen? You are the leader at this point. I'm behind you. How do we help you?
It's like the too many cooks in the kitchen problem.
Oh, yes.
You can be a lot more productive as a team if you just get the hell out of the way.
Yes. And here I have an anecdote which happened recently, actually. I'm involved in the development of a few projects, investments, whatnot. And something that's become a pet peeve of mine, an extreme pet peeve, is, superficial expertise. It's completely like
ChatGPT brain,
but also like everybody having an opinion.
Yeah.
And when you said too many cooks in the kitchen, I think that's what happens a lot. Like if you don't know, and actually, I'm gonna take my good friend's advice, because I asked him, like, how do you deal with this? Because he's a lot more senior than I am, and I was like, how do you deal with this? And he said, well, you hire experts for them to give you their opinion.
Yeah.
If they're not experts, don't take their opinion.
Yeah.
And he said a funny story that he went to a city hall kind of approval process, and the professional grandmother has an opinion against the traffic engineer. And the traffic engineer who went to college, who has data, who has everything, says that the traffic needs a new stoplight or needs whatever it needs. The professional grandmother has to say, I've lived here 30 years. And that's not how it is. I think your data is wrong. And he said, this is my everyday, but who do we listen to? It's the person with the degree. It's the person with the preparation. It's the person that has the data. We might recheck it in case that experienced person or empirical knowledge has validity, but usually we do not. And I think that this is important in a personal relationship way too, because we are all experts at something. We are all leaders at something, and we are followers at others.
And different strengths.
So there will be situations where, as a partner, I have to recognize that I'm in the follower role, and I have to be like, what do you need?
Yeah.
I am not the expert. I'm going to listen to your opinion.
Totally. And that's something that really helps you and I with our working dynamic. And even, our personal, like managing the house and things like that, because we know where each other's strengths lie and we don't get in each other's way. So that removes a lot of that, head butting that partners can often have.
Yeah. And I think it's also a question of trusting.
Yeah.
Because trusting your partners, sometimes you might have an opinion, but if it's not an expert, I think you need to trust the other person that they already studied this. And I'm an entrepreneur, so I always want to change everything. I always have an idea. I always have a way to improve things.
Yeah.
But the more experience I have, the more I find that there's a reason why things are done a certain way. And I love the quote, to break the rules, you must first master them. You need to know what they are exactly, and then you can, tweak it.
100%. And this is exactly why people have teams. I mean, it's the whole point. You can't do everything on your own. You're not the expert and strong at every single aspect within your business, your home, your relationship. So,
yeah,
you kind of need to spread it out and get the hell out of the way when it's needed.
And here I want to attack a little bit of a social norm, and I've seen like even t-shirts made about this that says my wife is always right, or my wife
happy wife,
like,
happy life.
Happy wife, happy life. And like, why do we have Google when we have my wife? My wife is never wrong. I think that is a very passive aggressive way of being defensive, maybe even in contempt, maybe even criticize, because your wife doesn't want to always be right, doesn't always want to have the final say. They want, I think, you want me to show up. You want me to take the decision based on my expertise.
For sure.
And when I am sure of something, you're following.
Yeah. And even for simple things, like where are we going to go out for dinner?
Yeah. Yeah. And if someone again, lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. If I decide a restaurant, you don't go to a restaurant and be like, we should have gone to the other place.
I knew we should.
I knew this place was bad. No, I made the decision. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Next time you make the decision if you didn't like it.
That's a good one. We spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah. And the last one I think is super interesting because I didn't even know what it was. But it's the fourth horseman is stonewalling.
Ghosting.
And this stonewalling, I actually feel it's like a TikTok word, these like new words that you don't know, like love bombing and like things that.
Yeah, I didn't know what gaslighting was until recently.
So stonewalling is, to me, ice treatment.
Ooh, the cold
shoulder, the withdrawal, the
silent treatment.
Yes.
Oh, that's rough.
And I think this happens more in the workplace than in your emotional relationship. Because in your emotional relationship, you'll be like, hey, I want to cuddle. And if you get the cold shoulder, immediately you know something is wrong. But I find that when I speak to people at the workplace, they're like, I hate my boss. I hate my job. I hate everything. And they go into stonewalling, where they're in the Zoom, they're in the meeting, and they're completely disconnected.
They're checked out. What do they call it? Like silent quitting? There's like a name for it where like you're working, you're getting your paycheck, but you're like completely checked out, no motivation. You might as well not be working there.
So
Is that the same as stonewalling?
I think so. I think so. I think it's a way of withdrawal from conflict. You don't care about what happens, what doesn't.
That's bad, especially like in personal relationships. To do that, for me, it's like the kiss of death. If you're not going to step up and talk and like suck the poison out, as we said, there's a big problem, because that means you're disconnecting, you're disengaged, and like you said, you just don't care. So I see that one as I know it's the fourth, but that's like a big one, because that means like your relationship is over before it even,
Yeah, it's like the beginning of the end.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to like cool down. Maybe you're not ready to have a conversation and suck the poison out right away and talk about it, but communicate that. Say, listen, I need an hour, I need a day, I need a week, whatever it is, to cool off and like digest what happened or what you said, whatever the situation is. But then stick to it. Whatever you said you're gonna do, stick to it, and then connect back with your partner or whoever you're speaking with, and address it. But I think it's fair to take the time. You don't have to always be ready to talk about everything all the time. Everybody's going through different things.
Yeah. And with this one, I would encourage people to take action
Faster, like as quick as
instead of letting
possible. A week pass.
that stone wall become a wall, like become a
It gets like higher and higher.
Great Wall of China. It's
Yeah.
like you need to take action. If you hate your job and you feel you're stonewalling, take action to break that or leave. Because I think that being in that position, if 90% of cases that get stonewalled end in divorce, or if you're stonewalling in your job or in a partnership, I think it's time to take action. Something needs to happen.
It's like that techno song where it's like, if you don't like your job, quit.
If you don't want to be fat, don't eat.
Yeah. If you don't have enough time, stop watching TV.
Exactly. But I think this is a huge calling, because I think that many people might not know that they're stonewalling, and something needs to happen. And I think you could sum up that all of this is like communication problems.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's key.
So I think talking is a great.
And I think sometimes this stonewalling, I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of like talking about it right away. But I think it becomes a habit, like everything. And then in the relationship, people just like, they get used to it. And then it's like, we had a fight. She goes silent. She doesn't want to talk to me. Or he goes silent. He doesn't want to talk to me. And then like repeat. And they just get used to it. And then they accept it. And it just becomes part of the relationship. And again, it's like that chipping away over time, that habit, it gets ugly.
Yeah. And I actually feel that could be the most painful thing to do to somebody else, is to stonewall them. I take criticism, I'll take contempt, I'll take defensiveness. Stonewalling is the one that I was like, oh my God, if you did that to me, that would be very painful.
It's gut wrenching, and a lot of people feel it when they get ghosted as well. Like you meet somebody on a dating app and everything's going great. You go on a few dates and then suddenly
People ghost in business settings as well.
Yeah, we get ghosted all the time. We send an email out and never get a response. It's very sad.
Yeah. So this was amazing. This was
fun.
This was fun. I'm reading this book called Wisdom Takes Work, also from Ryan Holiday. Ryan, I want you in this podcast one day. I think that you've changed my life.
Me too.
Many people's lives. So hopefully we can discuss. And this is what worked. This is what is improving our relationship. It's not because we started with a low basis. I think we have a really high functioning partnership. We work incredibly well together. But if you want to keep it that way, that's why we're nurturing our partnership by learning, by looking, by reading, by talking to people, and understanding how to do this better, because this is the most important thing in our life.
Yes. And it's like you said, it's dynamic. It's not static. We have to keep working at it, keep improving.
Yeah.
It's living, breathing.
So for the next part, we each prepared a few questions.
Yes.
I think I'm very curious.
Can I ask you first?
You can ask me first. Yeah.
Okay. My partner and I work together. Okay. No, but this isn't how I feel. It's just these are kind of questions that we want to ask each other. My partner and I work together, and I feel like we're just coworkers who sleep in the same bed. How do you switch from business mode to romance mode without it feeling forced? That's a tough question.
I think I don't want to generalize, but I think men are better at compartmentalizing than women.
The pros.
Yeah, we can really switch between work, play, goofy, and like we can have the worst. Like I think we're maybe trained. I don't know why we're better at this than women. I feel that in order to switch modes, I think it's important to carve out time.
Yes.
And I think that as an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs will understand, we work 24/7. I don't think there's a day. We have a saying that it's like office is open, office is closed, office is open. Like every time that your eyes are open, you're thinking about work. But in order to move to romance mode, I have to make time for it. And even when we make time for it, even when we go for a date, there will be a work discussion.
Yeah, even a little bit. Usually I bring it up.
Yeah, but I'm in romance mode. So it's
Yes.
like I listen to you as if I was I'm not there in problem solve mode.
Whereas as a woman, I'm like, my mind is going in a million directions and I'm thinking of like 20 different things. And that's why I usually bring it up.
So I think it's really important to also respect your partner's situation, and try not to guess either. Like I have been in times when I'm like, I'm exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to think about anything. And then you come to me with, oh my God, this is happening. And I'm like, Valentina, I'm so sorry, but
Now's not the time.
I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm not there. And it might be unfair to you because maybe you have a lot of stress, or maybe you want to talk something out, but it's happened, and it's happened vice versa. And I think it's okay to have to bear that weight and say, okay, when you're ready, I'm ready to talk because I have a lot on my shoulders and I want to share the load. But I think to be able to switch from business mode to romance mode, you need to be able to respect your partner's mode and also be able to communicate that with them. And I think, to me, the romance mode or business mode can't be forced. It can't be like, okay, now we have a date.
Turn the switch off. Yeah.
Even if we're good at being like putting things into compartments, I think it doesn't work like a switch. I think it has to be like, hey, are you feeling it? Let's make some time for it. Let's put some effort in. But if you're really not feeling it, it's not a light switch.
Yeah, I agree. You really have to be in tune with your partner and, find that overlap to carve out that time, which we find.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh-oh.
My question. In our business, I, as you know, am the creative. Perhaps I'm the one that says, I have an idea, and I know that it makes all of our team twitch when I say that. Not only you, because I'm the one that throws the monkey wrench and always wants to do something new or improve something. And you are the operator. You're the one that has to deal with this change of plans or adding more things.
Yeah.
So we might be in a clash of direction sometimes. How do you navigate ego and hierarchy in the business without damaging the respect for each other as partners?
Whew. Like we were speaking about before, ego is really the enemy. You have to, or I make it a point to really understand your idea, the why, where you see it's going, how you see we can do it. And then I try and strategize and figure out how I can support that, how our team can support that. Where do all the pieces fit in? So I don't see it as like a point of contention or like a problem. I see it more as an opportunity, but with my kind of pragmatic, realist lens. So I think we spoke about it in the last episode about growth. It's like, oh, damn, he has another idea. Here we go. Like everything was going fine and like we had a rhythm. And okay, that can be the immediate reaction. But then once we talk about it and really understand it and dig in, we decide, are we going to pursue it? Are we going to explore it? Or is this like, hell yeah, let's go. This is incredible. We need it. We need to implement immediately. So it's like a communication thing, in my opinion. I think if you were to like send an email and be like, we're doing this and like figure it out to the team, it'd be a problem. But you actually approach it very differently. You really talk about it and help us really understand the why. And then that in turn gives us motivation to like push forward and execute. So I think you approach it very well as a creative, as a visionary, and that collaboration allows us to execute well. So I don't see that as an issue for us.
I actually wanna give you the praise. I think you are the one, because sometimes I recently had an idea that I thought you were gonna be like, again,
Oh, no.
like another, and I said, Valentina, I have an idea, and I told you I want to do this and that, and I expected you to be like, no, and no, like this is we already spoke about this, or it was something sensitive, and instead of telling me no, you said, can you tell me more about why you feel this is the right play?
Mm-hmm.
And not only was I able to not have to fight it out, because I thought that was going to be like a little point of contention. Like, okay, I'm going to have to go and present my points and like convince you to do this. It was more like, okay, where are you coming from with this? So I explained, look, I feel that we needed to grow our team and I need to delegate more work because that would free me up to do more stuff, and more important stuff. And when I was able to give you those reasons in that light, you actually brought the point as, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like you didn't even made me have to convince you. We convinced each other that it was the right move.
It became like collaborative, not like you like giving a PowerPoint presentation.
No, and not even not dictating where we're going.
Right. Which you never do. Maybe on a few things, but not everything.
When I'm 100% sure on something, I'll dictate.
But also I know that you are a thinker and you strategize. And when you come up with an idea, it's not like, I had a dream last night and we should do this and it's going to be great. You think about it a lot.
Yeah. So I think maybe I'm not that much. The other day we met like a true entrepreneur. And I felt like not an entrepreneur next to this person, because I was like,
I'm not.
Maybe
you had
I'm
like
not.
an identity crisis.
Yeah, because this person had ideas that wanted to change the world and had an app to do this. And like I was like,
and they move fast.
and they moved so fast and they had written all this stuff. And I was like, maybe I'm not an entrepreneur. Maybe I'm more of like an action taker, or like I don't know, more of an executor.
Very strategic.
I don't know.
And from my perspective. Okay, should we do another one?
Yeah.
One more? Two more?
Well, let's keep going.
Rapid fire? No. When one of you has a terrible day at work or a massive failure, how does the other support them without absorbing the stress and ruining the day?
That's a tough one. And this is one of the risks of working together, because when one person feels stress, both of you feel stress.
Yes.
It's not like you had a bad day at work, I am cheerful and we're home and you need my support, and because you come from a position of strength, you can give it. I feel one of the toughest moments in our daily life is when we're both depleted and one of us needs support.
Yeah.
The opposite of being selfish is service. I think you need to think about, okay, now is when that other person needs me. And I remember one time we had a tough day, we had a tough discussion, we had a problem, and I had zero in the tank. Like, I was overwhelmed. I had nothing else to give.
Mm-hmm.
And you came to me and you were like, the same. And, that's when you need to give more than what you have. Like, give far. Like, that's the moment when you need to show up, and not because you're thinking of yourself. It's like, now I need to listen. I need to hear. I need to eat it.
Compromise.
Eat it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say compromise. I would say you have to take it on the chin and be like, I have nothing else, but I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
And you've done that for me as well. And that has been maybe the moments when you think, this is why you're my partner. Not because of everything great, but when everything is wrong, you're able to put yourself aside, provide support, and then the balances come back. It might just take 10 minutes. It might just take half an hour of listening and supporting and consoling,
mm-hmm.
And then the energy swings back to neutrality. So I think it takes a lot of effort. This is something very difficult to do, but I think when you can get away from yourself a little bit and think of the other person and be like, okay, can you sacrifice half an hour? Can you sacrifice 1 hour to, even if you have nothing, to be able to be there for the other person? I think it goes a really long way. What do you think?
I agree. For me, it is some compromise and sacrifice, because if you're like full of energy and you're in a flow and you want to work, and the other person is like down in the dumps and drained or had a horrible day, sometimes it is hard to like support, or like what you said, like if you're both down in the dumps, like sometimes like you just have to get that energy and support. And I think we kind of go back and forth in doing that, and sometimes it does cause tension and conflict between us, these situations, because it's like, you're being a little insensitive. Like, I had a horrible day, I feel like shit, I don't want to get off the couch, and like you want to go, I don't know, for dinner or whatever, I don't know, whatever. So you just kind of have to be very in tune with each other's emotions and not only your own.
Yeah. So this is not particularly about us, but I know that there are couples that go through this, which is one person being very risk adverse and the other person being a total gambler, like all or nothing type person. And that can cause a lot of anxiety. So how do you suggest people manage financial risk together when they have different thresholds for safety?
That's a great question. I think you, in our particular case, like you have a bigger risk appetite than I do. And I think that's also a result of being an entrepreneur, starting, this is now your second business,
Second successful. I've had many that.
Second successful business. And this is, my first. It's very new to me. So my risk appetite is a little lower, but we do have some friends in our circles where somebody's like, yeah, let's risk it all. And like, we're young and let's just like, buy the riskiest stocks or invest in like, growth seed stage companies. And the other person's like, no, let's just keep it with an investment bank and like super conservative strategy. You need to meet in the middle, like to our last conversation. I don't believe that one person should understand the finances and be managing it. I think both people in the relationship need to know what's going on and be aware. And you really need to find a middle ground. I don't think it's fair for one person to call all the shots, especially when your risk appetites are different. And, I think a lot of times, if there is only one breadwinner in the family, they think, well, I make the money, so I'm going to decide how we invest it or what we do with it or how we spend it. It's a choice, and maybe some people are okay with that and taking a back seat and not knowing. But my personal advice or my personal preference would be to know what's going on and really kind of share that that interest, share that that strategy, and kind of balance it between the two risk appetites, which I think is fair. I mean, is it going to kill you to do like a strategy that's, you know, half 50% conservative and 50% more risk taking, or whatever distribution you want? I don't think so. But I don't like it when one person feels that, oh, that's my domain, you have nothing to do with it. But then again, some people want nothing to do with it. So it's, for me, it's a case by case basis. It really depends on the couple.
And in this particular question, I also feel that there is no right answer.
No.
In any situation. And in the headlines, you'll read Warren Buffett has lost it because tech stocks and crypto has blossomed, and his measly 7% return looks like nothing for the people who made 100 that year. And then the next year, all those are down, and he looks like the tech, like the
genius.
Oracle of Omaha does it again. You know, it's like, so in a partnership, that could happen as well. The more conservative approach might be up at one point, and then the other one would be down, be like, thank God we kept you were right. And the next year, it could be completely the opposite and be like, oh, thank God we went into this together. So I actually think that I've studied investing maybe my whole life. I've been obsessed with this subject. And I have a wealth management advisor, because even though I am very knowledgeable at this subject, dealing with your own money requires a third eye, requires someone that's more objective, that is more in tune, that perhaps can balance our point of view.
Yes. And not be so emotionally attached to the money.
Exactly, which we are.
Of course, everyone is. It's very emotional.
It's very emotional. So if someone makes a mistake, that is a bad day. So I think seeking counsel, seeking expertise, talking to people that know more than you, even if you know a lot, find someone that knows more. Yes. There will always be that. And being able, like, you know, when we've had those meetings with our banker, I felt so wonderful, because it's been like, this is why we wanted someone else's point of view. Now it doubles down my conviction, and the places that I had doubts, it gave me enlightenment. It gave me, like, you offload that, and then that person is in charge of balancing our point of view. And like you said, does it really kill you if you have half? No. And you know, this connects back to the Four Horsemen. Yeah. This could cause all four of those horsemen to. You don't know anything about investing, so idiot. Why did you buy that stock? Yeah. Or I did it because all my friends told me. This could really be a trigger of the force. Or big one. And like what you touched on earlier, like this false expert. Man, I hate it. Pandemic that's going on right now. Like, I asked ChatGPT which stocks I should invest in, and they said this. No, don't do that. Otherwise, the Four Horsemen are going to show up at your doorstep immediately. I think that's one of the kiss of death. Yeah. Should we do some rapid fire ones? Oh yeah, those are fun. Okay. So, who is the gas and who is the brake? I'm the brake. I am 100% the gas. I even have my own brake pedal in the car when you drive. Yeah. I actually think I should have a faster car because it gets you out of trouble, not a better brake. Who apologizes first in a fight? Depends on the fight. I think I start apologizing. Like, I think that How to Win Friends and Influence People says if there's an argument, you're both at a loss, even if one is right. So I start by apologizing that we have this discussion, or not necessarily that I did something wrong, admitting that I did something wrong or right. It's more like, I'm sorry we're having a discussion this way. let's move forward. But I think, already coming with I don't come to kill.
No, that's true.
Not with you, with everybody. I don't think that I wouldn't go to a meeting and be like, you guys are an idiot. I'd be like, I understand that this is a heavy, stressful situation and not a pleasant conversation. So I apologize for that. Let's talk about it.
Who's better at handling a crisis? Depends on the crisis.
I think you're better handling a crisis. I think you're a very, very good problem solver.
That's one of my passions. I love solving problems.
Yes. And I'm more of a thinker. So we had a problem recently. I remember we got an email that was a little disturbing. Valentina already had plan A, plan B, plan scenario, communication, strategy. Like she already wrote all this down. And I was like, how do we approach this? How do we tackle this? Like I needed some meditative time alone to solve it. So I think, but it took me longer to like, I wouldn't be the best fireman perhaps. I'd be like, how do we, you would already turn that thing down.
I'd already be coming down with all the cats.
Yeah. Separate bank accounts or joint everything?
Joint. That's something we talked about before we got married.
Why do you believe that?
My viewpoint was if we're going to be married, if we're going to do this, if we're going to have a partnership, we share everything. Otherwise, I'd rather just stay single and do my own thing, and we can maybe cohabitate if we want to. But if we're joining everything, I think everything should be joint.
The opposite of this, or the counter argument of people that have separate bank accounts, I've heard it on TV, I've heard it from friends. It's like, I don't want you to know how much I spend at skincare or at golf or whatever. How do you suggest people be themselves and still have a joint bank account?
It's communicating the things that are important to you, the things that you want to spend on, putting a budget in place and making room for those things that you're interested in. And obviously it's not to be so rigid and, oh my God, you went, $100 over the budget this month. How could you? There's some wiggle room around that, but there's no like sticker shock or like Amex bill shock when you see what the other person has spent, because you kind of knew it was coming and it wasn't a surprise. And we went through this at some point. We were looking through our Amex statements and we were like, dear Lord, what have we been spending on? And we kind of went through it and we categorized everything and we kind of honed in on each category and really kind of reset our spending habits, both individually and together. So you kind of need to check in every once in a while, I think, so it doesn't get out of hand.
And I agree. And I think that you need to have a abundant mindset when it comes to this stuff. I feel that there's a lot of people that we don't value the same things. I will never value a handbag. I will not that's not to me something that I'd be like, whoa, it was so cool. Like, it's something that I will never understand, or I don't understand. Whereas you will not understand other things from the male perspective that it's really important, like other stuff. But I think it's not saying no, it's saying how could we? How could we afford your dream car? How can we afford this stuff? And not saying like, no, you cannot buy that. It's more like, okay, hey, this is important. Silly. This is important to me. And be like, wonderful. How can we make this happen? And then I feel on the other side, you should always try to be 50-50. I think being married is not about 80-20 and the other person sacrificing. It's more like, how do we sacrifice to be kind of equals?
I've even heard of and maybe it's a cultural thing. I grew up in Dubai, and a lot of Middle Eastern couples, both would work, and the husband's bank account would be joint, like where his salary goes, and then the woman's would be her own. And I found it very interesting because it's like, okay, all of our household shared expenses come from his account, and like my shopping, my facials, my nails, whatever. Maybe not nails. Maybe nails come from the shared account, come from her individual account. And I don't think it's in an effort to like hide what you're doing, but I found that kind of interesting. So I think different cultures manage this in different ways for sure.
And
There's
I
no
think
one size fits all.
definitely the conversation there will be like, but the man is making more money, I'm making less, so
Or
the
he's a man, he's supposed to provide.
should provide.
Yeah.
I think that's
It's very cultural.
I think it's a very antiquated way of thinking. If I'm being judgy, I think it's better to start to think, hey, how do we make things happen? If you bring whatever you bring, I can bring whatever I can bring, and together we can bring more. Like, how do we find ways to make things happen rather than saying, you do this and you cannot do that?
Who brings up work at the dinner table?
You do.
Yep. Easy one.
If you went bankrupt tomorrow, who would panic and who would start the next business?
I think you would start the next business and I would go get a job immediately. What do you think?
I think because you're such a good problem solver, I think you would say, this is the way I solve this problem and how would I bring money to the table. I have never had a job.
And you said you would never want to work for someone. That's one of the first things you told me.
Sometimes I feel like I missed out, that when people are like, oh, consulting is such a great school, I'm like, yeah, that would have been cool to learn how others do it. Or investment banking teaches you so many things. I'm like, I confided into friends. I'd be like, yeah, I wish I had that experience.
Like a taste of it, at least,
but
yeah.
I have no short list of ideas of businesses. I know, I right now I can tell you 10 ideas that I would do today. And I find that the more experienced I am, the faster I am to find the ones that monetize faster. And
oh yeah, you learned so much.
Yeah.
Should we finish with this one? What's our vacation style? Relax by the pool or activity adventure? Easy.
Yeah, we definitely adventure activity. We don't relax by the pool. That's
Yeah.
I'm allergic to that.
Like if we went and sat on a beach, Ahmed would need like a ball.
No, I need an
shovel.
activity. I need an activity. Like we're gonna build a castle. We're gonna play volleyball. We're gonna throw a frisbee.
Something.
And 20 minutes of that, and then I'm done. This was amazing,
This was
Valentina.
fun.
Thank
I really
you.
like this episode.
Yes, this was different. This was. I think we're getting deeper, and open invitation again. Like if you want to come on and talk how a couple can become a power couple. If you have ideas, if you have experiences, if you have comments, please leave them there. And always, we're the most grateful for your subscription, for your likes, for your comments, for watching, because it allows this to happen. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.